So, what do you guys think? I mean, Envy kind of already gave her kind of forecast. Mofu, is it JaZe? Is it Carepackage?
Now, I think that these are two really, really good players, but my favorite thing about Carepackage is that every single time this guy comes up, he brings a deck that I just completely didn't expect anyone to bring, and he's done it again, this time with Nephthys. And driving Nephthys into two control decks is, I think, the best spot you can be in if you decided to bring this into a tournament. So, based on that, the creativity of it, and his personality thus far, he's won me over. I'm rooting for him.
The panel gives a 9 out of 10. We should have, like, a thing with numbers. It says, like, 9, and we just have numbers from 1 to 10, and hold them up.
I agree, actually.
Quality content right there.
Make no impact on what happens in the match whatsoever, but here we go. Dragon vs. Shadow, we're going to get to see the Nephthys in action, so let's see.
Alright. How long has it been, actually, since we've really even seen Nephthys? I feel like it must have been brought to one of these opens before, but it's just, it doesn't hit my memory because all I remember now is
I want to say we saw it like not even a few weeks ago, but I also don't remember like the instance. I can't tell you. I feel like it's a deck that I haven't seen in forever, but I also saw yesterday, right? Like, it's,
yeah.
I just can't think of it.
But unfortunately, one of the only main like drawbacks of the deck I remember from ancient times and just original brewings of it is drawing Mordecai can suck. I mean, it used to be a deck that would only run 2 of him because he becomes very clunky. Carepackage actually runs 3, trying to make sure when he does get to his turn 8 Nephthys, if he manages to find it, that he will have a Mordecai that comes out on board with it.
Right, and even if you don't get a chance to turn 8 Nephthys, you can at least turn 8 Mordecai, which is not the worst play ever, right?
Yeah, I guess that comes down to how much time he's going to have here. Is JaZe ramping up pretty quickly, though. In a lot of other lists, this can mean eating a ton of damage from Queen of the Dreadsea, but in this one, maybe all this ramping still will give Carepackage the time to kind of get to Mordecai.
This is kind of like, it's a matchup that's very important. Again, you know, matchups being very important in Shadowverse. The fact that JaZe's not playing too much burst, he's not playing a lot of like actual combo. He's playing a slower, grindier deck, right? And that's the kind of thing that you know, Nephthys preys on in a way.
I remember one of the last times I saw JaZe kind of take one of these long games was because I think he really, really likes Star Phoenix as a card. A lot of people sometimes just run it as one of, or otherwise he always seems to pack 2. And a lot of the time, we may even see it this game, if he isn't forced or pressured to do anything, he likes to just throw them out and have a threat and just keep generating them and drawing over time and just forcing his opponent to grind it out. But whether that's going to work against a deck that does it with a 5/5 that doesn't require any hand investment, you know, remains to be seen.
It's a 5/5. You know, it sounds very unassuming when you say it's a 5/5, and then you know when you add on it can't die.
I think Mordecai actually left like the strongest impression on me like in this game when I like first even opened it up, because just what kind of line of text is last words summon in its own card name. It's so simple and sweet, but it has so many implications.
Very interesting to be used with Erd. It's I remember when I first started, I thought it was just like way too good. I was like, wow, this card is way too good. You know, like how is that just completely unfair, right? Which, to be fair, when I started, it was unfair. It was completely busted when I started. I started back when there was no expansions, so Mordecai was pretty okay. The deck itself wasn't that great, but Mordecai was.
Yeah, I hear back like Mid-Shadow just in that completely different era. Feels feudal at this point. It's just like, if this was the face of mid-range win conditions back then, or even just kind of controlled grinder win conditions, it's like, it's interesting to see it kind of pop out again now. 2 in hand, you know, a 3rd draw might be really rough for him, but running Mordecai and this kind of package instead of Shadow's kind of sort of a standard Ictor and Immortal Thanes is just really interesting to me.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you can't really get too much value out of Ictor and Immortal Thane when you're playing Nephthys, and that's the whole point. So.
I know that there are some lists that have tried it before, and some have sort of concluded Thane sometimes can work because you still do
Yeah.
get the White King, but it's losing the consistency of Kawi and the like that tends to push them out of the slot.
I've also seen a few Nephthys decks try to play. I can't think of its name now. Ceres. I wanted to say Ceridwen, and I don't know why. Ceres, right? The 4-play 0.14 heal too much every turn. You don't really care that Nephthys can kill them, but you care that like you get them early on and play them, right? And just end up curving like a mid deck because she kind of carries it. JaZe just held up something. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't, but I noticed the like lingering smile he had about it.
Yeah, it was a figure. I think I think I couldn't quite. It was too fast. I couldn't see it.
If anything, he's in a really, really good position here. He's had the ramp that he's needed to get. Carepackage is still okay. He's found enough this that kind of guarantees it.
And Zombie Party
JaZe
too. Wow, it's a great draw.
It's just what looks so rough to me is that JaZe's already hit Prince of Darkness, and I think Nephthys is a deck that even after establishing its threats, takes long enough to win the game that it can still just kind of collapse under Prince of Darkness.
Right. It's Kawi's a great card, and healing 13 is great when you think about it, when you say it on paper. But it doesn't matter if Astaroth's Reckoning comes down into Disdamnation, right? Or if Silent Rider attacks you and Disdamnation comes down the turn after. It doesn't really matter if you pop something in Kawi. It's the pressure that comes down from the Prince of Darkness deck is actually pretty insane. Unless JaZe ends up drawing multiple Servants of Darkness in a row, this is going to be a fairly over game.
Yeah, that is like the most unfortunate variance of the Apocalypse deck. It's like the Prince of Darkness is pretty sure they're like necessary or core to the list, but it seems like they're like the least impactful pieces in there. At least that's what gets in the way all the time. But we're seeing JaZe actually going for this sort of play that he really likes to do of nothing else to do, just play out Star Phoenixes, forces Carepackage to deal with them even. That is an Evo point and a Zombie Party spent on technically infinite resources.
It was a pretty hardcore commit. He's going to be really baited to Blazing Breath here. I know he is. It's not actually that bad. Blazing Breath Lucifer is not that bad this turn. It does slow down your Prince of Darkness, but
I'm completely about the Prince of Darkness. I totally agree with it. I think.
Yeah, there we go. I like that commitment. It's fine. Don't even evolve it. Just slap it down. Pass turn.
Yep. The Evo point, I highly doubt he uses it here, but if he keeps it, then it refunds value into, as we said, if he draws the 13/13s with an Evo point, then that's the only real way he can get like that instant board impact with them. But I really like this line a lot. He conserves the Blazing Breath, so even though he has none of his own deck remaining, he still has access to his Star Phoenixes.
Exactly. And for those of you wondering what Mist of Extinction does and why it's not really usable, it's a 7-play point card in Carepackage's hand that destroys all enemy followers of 4 defense or less. So it's going to be sitting in his hand for a pretty long time. And there's that Servant of Darkness, like I said, not doing anything.
Well, God, it's just not a good time for it because Kawi, he can just Blazing Breath it and refund his Star Phoenixes right away, and that's a pretty strong play for him. But even if he dumps it out afterwards, this is like the turn where Nephthys comes down. So the ability to kind of establish any of this on board is just not what JaZe's probably looking for.
To be fair, though, it doesn't really matter if you heal them for 13, since you can't overheal. It heals for 1, so there's not really much to care about in that sense.
He does challenge Carepackage to deal with it over and over, and even establishing a Mordecai on board is going to take a while to eat up a 13/13.
I do like the Lucifer, though. That is, it gets you to full health. It's kind of inconsequential, but you're gonna lose this anyway, right? Ooh, it didn't lose it anyway. Oh.
That this happens sometimes, right? So Nephthys
probably dead. He's probably dead. Anything except for Servant kills him. Oh my god.
It's Prince of Darkness's early game, you know. He has the double 13/13 at best.
Oh my gosh. There were two Servants of Darkness left in a 9-card deck, and anything else was lethal. And he drew another Servant of Darkness. Oh my gosh.
More or less. I mean, even Silent Rider would have been, yeah, that would have done it.
Yep. 'Cause Lucifer, remember, he
unfortunately-
evolves for 13 damage here, so.
Right. Ooh. She's a Natsu, but I actually understand it. It's like drop the double 13-13 and he can try his best to do flips to deal with this, but the most impactful cards of the Apocalypse deck are still yet to be seen here. If anyone's confused about what actually happened and left Lucifer alive, Nephthys pulls a separate cost card, and which costs are decided randomly, which is usually not a problem for Nephthys whatsoever, given that if you just limit the cost of the deck to sort of like 2-4, 7-8, 2-3, 7-8, that kind of range, then it will pull all of them. But because he had one thing on board, he missed the 7, and that was the Kawi.
And that was the Cowie. And that Voices was insane. 8 play points to kill 2 13-13s. Sounds pretty
That
good
was
to me.
26 damage for an 8-cost card, but yeah. I think that's the first time I've ever seen Voices used in that way in a tournament, even. Because that seems to be one of the more obvious uses of the card, but, well, even though he manages that clear, it may not be enough.
I don't know. I think there's only one Servant of Darkness left, right? So, without Ward, Silent Rider, or any of the 3 Disc Damnations, there's a 4 and 7 out here. Or 5 and 7 out. There's 2 Silent Riders left, actually. There's 5 and 7 out.
I don't know, actually. Carepackage just topped a Death's Breath, and that
Well,
takes
yeah, if
away...
that comes down, right, that does slow down and probably completely stop him from winning, but...
yeah, it takes away Astaroth's Reckoning. It takes away another Silent Rider. Doesn't go for it. He's looking for the heal.
Ooh, we got the corpse, that's fine. This is
Pretty
really
good.
risky, though.
Yeah, it's not the heal, though, so there still is a lot of presented lethals.
If he
Unless
gets the
he gets a-
third Servant of Darkness, JaZe praying, he's praying. He's like, bless RNG, come on. Oh my god!
You're kidding, right? Oh, well.
The third Servant of Darkness. Carepackage is surprised. He is ecstatic. JaZe's drawn 4 cards from the Prince of Darkness deck, and 3 of the 4 were the 3 most useless cards. I can't even.
I don't think Servant of Darkness, is in a good spot in the
face, like,
meta.
It's just like,
I
well,
think you gotta.
yep.
I think you gotta cut it from the deck, man. It's just 10 cards. It's consistent, but it's just not doing it.
Oh my god.
I'm actually speechless. I thought for sure that JaZe had that one, but that's one of those things. Prince of Darkness presents a sort of variance in how much inevitability you get that's not really common of other win conditions. Unfortunate. But I'm sure he can.
And
take it back from
that's been true of Prince of Darkness forever. Like we said, it was a standard set card. The only way you could ever beat it, if somebody played it against you, the only way you could beat it was to pressure them and hope they draw Servant of Darkness, because he's useless unless they have evolves. So.
Well, at the very least, actually I find that really interesting because, Prince of Darkness being one of the main ways to finish off games that JaZe decided to play rather than like Dread Sea is, whereas he wasn't able to find that damage through the value of the Apocalypse deck, it's kind of like he hedged his late game on that card and it didn't work out for him there.
Yeah, it was, I mean, he slapped it down. He used it as soon as he could. And it's not like, any other, scenario where it didn't draw all 3 Servant of Darknesses.
Yeah.
It was great, right? It won the game. It was only that one time, so.
So I actually really appreciated him bringing it in both decks here, just because this is not the last time we're gonna get to see it, but by the end of the month he is turning out. That is I think 5 different legendaries being rotated in a single legendary.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of cards leaving. It is interesting that they have touched on other cards summoning the Prince of Darkness cards, like Tarnished Grail can do it.
Call of Casidas as well.
Right, yeah, I can make Servant of Darkness. Forget about that one, but The most useless one. I can make the most useless one.
Yeah, the execution that sometimes creates it as well. I think that's always been one of the cooler ones. Like even back in like control mirrors, back in like the days of Rise of Bahamut, I remember that card did manage to see a bit of competitive play. It's just so much has happened since then. It's just kind of annihilated its relevance in terms of finding value.
There is one thing that's kind of ignored since Zell got changed, is that putting a 13/13 that costs 5 play points in your hand is pretty good with Zell.
Oh, absolutely.
You can enhance it on 8, put a 13/13 in your hand, and the next turn on 9, storm it for face. But, you know, Dragon has access to better things than that, so.
Mm-hmm. It makes me like kind of nostalgic and also very much not nostalgic to remember Zell, to be honest.
Good
We moved
old
on
9 play points, Saha Baha Zell. Oh boy.
Stop! Stop talking. No. I don't know. It's just every time I hear it, it's like I've taken that damage face so many times that I look at hands like this and seeing the Bahamut held this long with the Saha Quill, just like it all comes back to me.
Triple Bahamuts in hand. If JaZe passed on 8, not gonna pass on 9. Okay, all right. He's not gonna take 8 from this thing. That's where he draws the line as 8.
Right. He's gotten ramp up to the point that he can play out all of these threats back to back. But again, we're gonna notice this sort of low commitment of burst that he's chosen to build this deck with is just kind of still putting him in this like heavy grinder situation. He can't make that much of a threat out of the advantage.
For sure, for sure. And speaking of threats, though, JaZe could. He's already on 10, so.
If you're JaZe here, well, it looks like the tastiest play to you. He could Saha Quill Zeus, get played the Bahamut, and say, "Get out of here! You're not in Vengeance." Definitely a tough shot.
I think
here.
that actually might be one of the. They might want to do that because if you commit to Bahamut, your opponent can't Bahamut you back, but Emerald is a very important card, so.
Right. He has to choose his threats carefully. I mean, he only has 1 copy of Prince of Darkness, so even though he could be reliant on it throughout many games for it to be his win condition, there's always the chance it's going to be too far down that if he commits it all now, that he just doesn't find a way to win the game. Chooses to commit nothing.
Just completely floats 10, and then Carepackage floats 8.
Is this the legendary Pokerverse?
This is top tier Shadowverse gameplay, okay?
Right, but you know, such things exist. The concept of just draw pass or draw go even. But you know, I'm really surprised because the more turns you allow to pass throughout a game when you're playing a class with ramp as a mechanic, the more you kind of willingly give up the advantages of having a play point advantage.
Right.
So choosing to do nothing is like, I get it, and it's definitely a very interesting move. Goes for it again. We were actually just watching Pokerverse now.
We are just watching both players draw enough cards in their hand to have a resource off. That's what's happening right now.
And I imagine both players are fully confident that they're going to win the resource off. Carepackage has a plethora of ways to just clear anything that comes in his way. And the same can be said of JaZe.
Yeah, I mean, JaZe's got everything in his hand too, so.
Who do you bet is going to commit a resource first?
It's going to be, wow, Carepackage is going to put Emeralda on the board. Wow.
I'm actually really surprised by that too. I was thinking, I've seen players commit like Scarlet Sabura in times like this. What's 2 damage really going to clear? Like a Dragoon Scyther, sure, but is Dragoon Scyther is going to go face and leave you the option to do that? But choosing to go Emeralda, that's
big commitment, actually, considering that he can't even do anything next turn off of that. So that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's not a setup. If anything, it's like it takes away value from his Azazel, but his Bahamut now, assuming it somehow sticks to the board, is presenting like a very distant hypothetical lethal.
I think he's probably considering, you know, maybe JaZe's hand is bad, and that's why he's stalling. You know, he's not playing cards because he wants me to think that he has cards that aren't bad, but JaZe's actually playing that play, you know, backwards because he's drawing bad cards now. He had good cards when he started doing this, and now he's drawing bad cards, double poison breath.
Oh,
That's
So
not even that
Mr.
big a deal, really. That's not even. Emeralda was better there. Like,
Well, if he was holding two Emeraldas, absolutely. It's funny, I've seen more and more Mr. Full Moon throughout all of these tournaments, but mostly I thought that the original purpose of Mr. Full Moon was to kind of give people in Take Two better answers to Bahamut. I wasn't expecting to see it here when there's more premium stuff like Emeralda or the like.
or Dance of Death.
Mm-hmm. That attack
Alrighty,
animation
then.
dealing 1. I'll never get used to that.
That's what Sad Games worked so hard on that animation for, is for it to deal 1 damage.
Like, the way that like the game's whole screen shakes a lot when I think more than 7 or more damage is dealt. And like Bahamut's attack animation is like the most iconic thing of that. So when it just the screen doesn't care at all, it just boop 1 damage. It's just I don't see it often, but I gotta appreciate it.
You have to wonder what Carepackage's like follow-up plan for that was, you know?
Yeah, he's kind of dealt with Bahamut. I feel like Bahamut's presence on board here does actually make a pretty big difference to the game. That is inevitability. It's 1 damage every turn that you've already committed a resource to. Goes for a Righteous Devil. Now he's starting to show a bit of shyness in terms of how much he commits. This could be a misstep from Carepackage. I think his resources are dwindling at a faster rate than JaZe's will be.
Yeah, I actually would agree. That usage of Diabolic Drain there when you could have just subored that and been in the exact same situation, but with an extra card in your hand.
It means he's holding onto the Sabor because he really wants to conserve that Bane, but
Has to be, yeah.
yeah, if anything, I think what Carepackage is thinking of now is, how do I stop this? This single ultimate carrot, we could call it, in between the Star Phoenix is just creating this endless threat that could eke out very, very small points of damage alongside the Bahamut to actually close the game out.
And then there he goes, using Sabor. I guess Diabolic Drain not being available, he kind of has to Sabor now, but JaZe is just holding resources for like years.
Right, I mean, his Bahamut's not very much value, but I think we can kind of discern this from both the list he's brought and as well as the way he's been using these Star Phoenixes, that he is perfectly content to just let this go as long as it must. Just,
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't want to put the first foot down.
Yeah, JaZe's gonna hold a hand of 10 cards and attack for 1 with a Bahamut
This looks like
until his
the
deck is
end.
negative.
I mean,
It's gonna go on for a while.
if JaZe
Carepackage could get a
actually...
pretty okay Azazel here. You could play 8 play points Azazel and it would do 5 to JaZe and nothing to Carepackage, so that'd be neat. I do like this better though. Drawing cards is better.
Okay. Yeah, being able to draw those cards gets him 2 really good resources. I mean, having triple Bahamut in hand is like the main way that you manage to get around this scenario. He knows JaZe is down 1, and it is still trying to get his attention, in fact.
it's like the fly, just really
He just got
saying,
turned
"Look
into
at
a
me."
cat, yeah.
It's actually kind of important if Carepackage can somehow get JaZe to commit anything worth, Bahamuting. He can probably get a pretty good advantage here with triple Bahs. So, oh, never mind.
Worth
Just popping it
mentioning.
now.
Ooh. He knows he has the advantage on Bahamut, so he's finally able to get a footing on trying to even out the card advantage. It's worth noting he runs 1 Spawn of the Abyss, and he's halfway through his deck without finding it in the top half. If he gets that, and, well, JaZe has a plethora of answers, but if he figures out a way to force out these Bahamuts first, he does have a setup with Azazel. Though I have yet to see Azazel really do that in a game more than once, I think, in the entire history of the Open.
Ooh,
Looking
that's a
for-
really, really interesting use of Mask. Ugh.
I think he's looking for it. I think he wants to have a finisher here, but he's similar to JaZe. He just is so hesitant to play out his Bahamuts or anything like that.
Right. He's got to be digging for.
Give it to me again.
Has to be digging for Spawn of the Abyss. He's running one spawn. It's all I can think of that he cares this much about.
Oof, multiple draws, multiple searches, still not there yet. You know, watching this Star Phoenix put on or become this much of a nuisance makes me just think, in these kind of control mirrors, how about Kai'Sa?
Yeah, Carrot. I mean,
just,
well,
like-
you know, Carrot's a bad Star Phoenix when you think about it.
It's a much less pretty Star Phoenix, that's for sure, but the Star Phoenix is being used in such a similar manner. I mean, having Rush is definitely a big difference, as displayed here too, but these two things together can probably just end up being their own grinder win condition if you know your opponent is playing grindy control decks in a similar fashion.
Right, they are putting in work for sure. Carepackage might find his digging of. He might find his digging for this card to come back and bite him. He's at 13 left.
What if Spawn of the Abyss is the last card in his deck? I think that is like the biggest risk that poses him now, because he's still yet to commit anything really significant other than some of the harder to watch trades like Diabolic Drains for Dragon Summoner.
Wow, Revelation even on 2/2/2s. That is just really interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know, you see JaZe has now committed with this Israfil like the first major win condition in a while.
Yeah, this is the first real card that Carepackage should have cared about, and he still hasn't found that spawn. That spawn has to be what he was digging for in the beginning. It has to be what he cared so much about, right? I can't think of a different card, can you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, even just looking through it, like Temptress Vampire is one thing. He already has as a Zazel and has had it for a while. Other than that, it's just like Righteous Devil. Nope. No other win condition on his side. He just wants to run answers to things. But, I mean, if you're going to play this sort of card advantage-based game plan where you want to kind of grind your opponent out eventually, just keep on keeping their board clear and never be in danger, I don't think, like, kind of Star Phoenix
There it is.
Ramp Dragon is time
And he
to
played
go.
it immediately. That's what he was looking for. But it's not like JaZe can't answer this, right? Like,
What does he do when he gets Bahamutted now? I mean, this was his game plan.
I guess he Bahamut's again? Maybe this was the top tier bait to win the Baja War. He Baja's the Baja, which Baja's the Baja, so he Baja's the Baja.
Yes, and knowing that, he does have the second Baja. Alright. It's all in animation. You know, what will JaZe do? Could this possibly be another Bahamut?
Look at the deck counts, Mofu.
9 and 10. And JaZe did draw quite a bit just a second ago, but he understands. He's probably paying very close attention to the fact that he has one card up on Carepackage. Like,
No, he's not one
their
card
deck
up on
sizes-
Carepackage. He's 11 cards up on Carepackage.
Ah.
He can at any point in this game make his deck go to 10 again.
I almost forgot about that, but you're right. The remaining cards in deck is basically more important right now than their health even, until they decide to commit something every single turn, which has been happening.
This was JaZe's plan from the beginning. He didn't care about life totals.
Yeah, he's been
He cared
playing
about
the
winning
mill game.
with Prince of Darkness.
I mean, he had the answer for Spawn of the Abyss, and knows Carepackage only had one. He probably just, from the very start of it, his very passive style of just pass, go, play, was with the intention of, okay, just gonna wait for him to play Spawn, kill it, and then how do I lose from there? And I think it's gonna pay off. How does he lose now?
Carepackage is now in a situation where he literally has to put pressure. He has to try to win this game.
Zazel, gonna hurt, but it's... I mean, one evolution point has been used this game, so absolutely no
I was to
difficulty.
say that too. Yeah, like also, not only can JaZe sit here and do nothing for as long as he wants, but there's also only been one evolve the entire game.
Yep. So it's not like planting a Zazel is gonna force him to remove anything. What can I say but just, yep, that's happening. Okay, turn counter, it's coming up. I've been missing it the past few times. 24. We're still. I think this is all really just JaZe's master plan. He thought,
JaZe was, was 10 steps ahead the entire time. This is actually a pretty pressuring place. Not bad at all. I like this play a lot, so.
Tedious game.
Fortunately, without any particular pieces of removal left. Okay, never mind, I see it. Stock Wheel into Lucifer can give him the heal and the clear if he uses another Evo point. Or no, just simply allows Lucifer to hit it. I always forget the rush, and then allows the Star Phoenix to finish it off.
Which is better carrot, man. It's got rush. It's better
I
carrot.
see it now.
Although,
I see what it can do that carrot cannot.
I mean, Carepackage could actually maybe squeeze this out. He's got Emeralda again to evolve for 6, and he's got double Temptress Vampire here. So he's got some pressure for some turns here.
This one's for you.
Oh no! Oh
I don't know,
no!
I'm scared. He knows JaZe is holding on to Lucifer's, so he has a lot of damage he has to get through throughout all these turns, but you know, he shortened his own lifespan by an upwards of 2 turns by playing the Pure-Hearted Singer. He just wants the body, I'm sure, for that threat of damage, but
Well, actually, I mean, if it's actually fine, right? Because if that sticks, he attacks with it, 5 dead, right? And
That's
there's no
absolute.
Bahamut's left. They both know all 3 Bahamuts are gone for each player, so. And you can't just play Lucifer, Mofu. Remember, if you evolve Lucifer, he doesn't heal you anymore. So.
Perhaps just counting the Saw Quills realizes, okay, he has Lucifer's, but okay. I see it, but I'm still terrified by this. It's like the odds of the opponent, or odds of JaZe not having some way to just filter back into a Star Phoenix to kill it and have a way to deal 7. The possibility's there. It's a brave play, and I definitely respect it, actually.
It's really close, actually, because the Scyther, if it was 2, or if the Phoenix were 2, he could Draconic Fervor Scyther a Phoenix, but that's 11 play points, unfortunately.
Right. I think the way to go here is going to be the Sybil.
And that's fine, too, right? Because if you evolve this here, and the Vampire goes face, you can use the Sybil to kill the Vampire. So.
Right. Very careful and methodical use of his evolution points. I feel like the 2 times JaZe evolved have been purely only when it was necessary. Like, it was so much better than his alternative removal plays that it feels as though he's had more than Carepackage. But that is just kind of how it goes when a player is very, very careful about them in a control mirror.
And this is now a very, very tough situation for Carepackage because he has to find a way to win in 3 turns. He has his next turn going down to 1, the turn after going down to 0, and then if he attempts to draw at 0, he loses. So, and JaZe doesn't have to play play Prince of Darkness at all during that, right? He would have liked to establish Prince of Darkness and gotten, Disdamination off of it, because Disdamination will be amazing in this matchup, but he could just get, completely destroyed again by drawing triple Servant of Darkness. So that wouldn't have been very good at all.
It's really, really interesting seeing how JaZe went about this game. Because, like, often I see a lot of players that kind of develop their strategy over, like, time. They adapt to their opponents first, but, I mean, you could see very clearly from the way he played. This was it. Like, he saw this coming, like, all that time ago. And, time really is running out for Carepackage. He already has 2 cards in his hand that he absolutely cannot play.
His cards have to be Temptress Vampires to apply enough pressure. But these Lucifers almost completely outdo the damage of the Vampire, right?
And he can't play anything else alongside the Temptress Vampires, so if he commits them, then we know that he's now locked into that situation. His next 2 turns with the Temptress Vampires, that's it. And if that's not enough, then that's it. There's no other real options
you
for him now.
You have to Bane Lucifer, because, if you don't, it's going to heal again. It's just like Sybil, it heals every turn. So. And also, if you don't, Dragoon Scyther almost basically kills you, so you kind of have to do that.
If only he had, like, a Blazing Breath, so that he could... I guess Temptress Vampire can't go anywhere but face. He has to send in the Righteous Devil. It's like there's no any other kind of possibility for Carepackage, even if he had, like, any tools that could fit alongside the Vampire, from any class even. That just actually makes this work for him. It's just gone on too long. You think if he hadn't
this is going to result in Lucifer again. which will be Temptress Vampire attack face for 10. Oh, Zeus. Okay, that's fine too. That's cool too. That actually works. You kill the vampire here, and that's fine also.
Over so soon.
This results in more health. You're stuck with 3 instead of 2 this way. So
Yep. And you see his deck deplete. That's it. He has to win the game this turn with a, a lethal puzzle, but without an answer.
is it a puzzle if there's no answer, Mofu?
Well, as we thought. Oh, there he is.
The
He solved
classic.
it.
He solved it.
Found
Oh.
lethal.
Well, that was JaZe's first win of the match. Now we watch a Control Blood mirror.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you handle this, Envy. I'm gonna go play with my kitten for a little bit. But... nah, she sleeps and she understands what's going on.
Game. It was quite the game. It was turn 37, and Carepackage Subaru'd himself with his Belphegor. I don't know. There's a lot of important. They got really, these decks always these games always do this. They get really interested at the very end, right? There was a few turns right at the very end that really mattered, right? The turn where JaZe played Sybil, I think, was probably the most beautiful of those turns. And really though, Carepackage kind of like shot himself in the foot digging so hard in the mid game, not finding the spawn when he needed to.
Yeah.
And
at the same time, though, I feel like it was the right thing to do. Because in his situation, I think he caught on to what JaZe was doing. He was like, oh no, I have to win the game. But
yeah,
when you run a deck that's so teched to not lose the game, then that's how else can that really resolve? And I feel like we can easily see the same thing happen this game. We already know JaZe likes to play like this, and JaZe's deck has a Prince of Darkness in it. Carepackage's does not.
exactly.
It's a matter
one
of
of you is
value
playing
versus
50
answer.
cards, one of you is playing 40. I wonder which one will deck out.
Right, and it's not like there are tools that could allow your opponent to draw extra cards. I mean, there is like some room for error if JaZe somehow drew way too much. Like if he, the orchestrator of the slow, grindy deck out strategy, somehow played into it himself with little reason, then maybe it could work out. But I feel like this is going to be so tough for Carepackage.
It is, because both of them are playing Belphegor as well as they're playing Baphomets, and they want to cast these cards, right? And Carepackage is even playing Pure-Hearted Sinkers, so he's playing a lot of +1s in this deck, and he has Spawn in his hand this time, but there's just no way that's gonna get Revelated. That's gonna get Paparino'd, right?
I want it. It's like
He is on the play. He could evolve it, and that gets around Revelation, and there's no way that I mean, he'd have to play it in this very short time window. I mentioned him being on the play because he gets an extra full turn to decide whether he wants to play it and pre-evolve it over Revelation without JaZe being able to just Bahamut in return. So he gets like that turn 8, 9, and 10 before JaZe reaches his own, or even just the turn 8 and 9.
That's true. That's true.
Gonna need an Azazel and for JaZe to not play Mask in that time though, so maybe card draw is really actually the way out of this.
It's possible. There's like a really important card that you just mentioned that's in this matchup that wasn't last game, and that's Mask of Black Death, right? It's a card that Carepackage kind of threw away last game. Like 2 times during last game, he would play a Mask of Black Death and then immediately Belphegor it away, right?
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. It's not like he needed... I guess he didn't need the damage mitigation, although in the end, a Mask of Black Death actually kept him alive long enough to deck himself. Or else he would have died. But it was interesting to see them like used so frivolously, right? They were thrown away.
Yeah. I imagine Carepackage is like... It must be really, really tense to kind of play this sort of matchup, and probably at that time I was thinking, okay, this is a good synergy, it's a very strong play I can make, and with that decided to throw it out and keep his health total high, even though JaZe's deck doesn't run the kind of burst that is necessary to deal with it. Very interesting, he's going aggressive, he wants to develop this spawn as soon as possible, I believe. Oh.
I think that was more of a, I'm scared of, you might be able to kill me kind of play.
Control Blood, though, on its 6th turn? 8 damage?
I really don't.
I find that intensely interesting, actually.
Intensely interesting. I like that. I like that
Yeah, I
phrase.
find that,
Intensely interesting.
It's very, 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 very interesting. I mean, he understands, of course. Like, if he goes face after committing that evolve, the Righteous Devil is going to heal it back up. But, I guess he just
Right, yeah,
decided he
exactly. So if
absolutely
Devil
wants
on the flip side evolves into a 4/7, right, and you go face for 4, or even go face for 6, and you get hit in the face for 4, you do like a negative damage, right? So you might as well kill him. It's got Bane also.
I can see it for sure. It's just, it's a rough situation to be in, no matter how you dice this. Because JaZe's
Right.
already kind of found his win conditions. He has a Bahamut ready to answer anything. He has a Prince of Darkness, so, he drew it. Not like he wouldn't. He wins the deck size matchup. But Carepackage is kind of having to eke out as much damage as he can throughout all this time. It's just down 1 Evo point now, barely ahead on board. Trying to think
He
the best way.
does win the deck size matchup, but Carepackage is on the play, like you mentioned earlier. This turn is coming up where he could just play Spawn, and he'll die if he doesn't. Never mind. JaZe realizes that and puts Care at 6 and says, if you play Spawn, I will kill you. Never mind.
I think that's a really, really good call from him as well, because that is Carepackage's only way out. Like, if he slows down and he plays Spawn later, then he understands, okay, well, I got Bahamut sitting right here. I'm fine with that.
And that's just JaZe. Like, we talk about JaZe a lot, being a very good player, right? That's him knowing this matchup in and out. He knows that, on the play, Carepackage is gonna try and play that 1-up Spawn. He didn't have it last game, but this is a different game. He'll probably have it, right? It's possible. So why not just set up a possible lethal if he tries to go for it? Because there's no way to answer it outside that top deck Revelation in hand for JaZe.
Right. Okay. This is looking interesting. I mean, he goes for the heal, which I think is very smart. I think Carepackage has a line here. I think he can play the Spawn this turn just fine and Diabolic Drain the 2/4. His Mask is perfectly fine. He can pre-evo it over the Revelation. He can guarantee it gets onto the board, does 13 damage, and JaZe doesn't have any sources of healing, can't play Bahamut. Temptress Vampire next turn. Except Mask of the Black Death is in his hand, I just noticed. Okay. It's not guaranteed, but it looked very promising.
Yeah, it's a really important card in this matchup. It wasn't present, like I said, it wasn't present last turn, or last game, but Carepackage has got to really consider that card this time when he's going into setting up turns, because if Control Blood is actually going to end the game, it has to think multiple turns ahead. It has to, like, really, really consider, what resources are available, not only to itself, but its opponent. So that Mask of Black Death is, it's more important to Carepackage even, to think about. Like, he has to assume it's in hand, right?
But even considering that he probably goes for this, it is the winning play for sure, the I want to win play. So this is it. It's the Emeralda, not in Vengeance though.
It's close. It's very close.
Yeah, it was scary to see it drawn, but I think this is the best position Carepackage is going to be for the entire game. Like, he exerts so much pressure over JaZe here. Oh, what will he do, though?
It's not that bad, though. You got Mask, so...
If you're JaZe in these circumstances, I think the Mask, I mean, it goes without saying that the Mask goes down this turn. He can then follow up with Emeralda to, the Blood Moon Pomps. He can get rid of the Mask with it if he wants to. Doesn't have to evolve, but he could also evolve to get rid of the Mask. So how much damage is set up even past the Mask here? It's going to be 5. It eats up either the Spawn or the Temptress Vampire's Burst, so he can only... Yeah. No other source of damage in his hand.
JaZe has to go into... He has to play this turn out assuming he's going to take 13 damage.
Right.
And then also assume Temptress Vampire, again, is also in the same... Like, another one is in hand to follow up after. Because that would be... That would lead to the most optimal plays for him.
And after considering it as much as I could, I'm not sure there's a way out of this for Carepackage. Because this is the last turn where Spawn is a stable card. He doesn't have other copies of it. And Azazel would not have worked for him here due to Mask. It doesn't have any lethal setups with it. And if this doesn't work, that's kind of the last point of damage you can really deal that troubles JaZe in any capacity.
Yeah, if he's gonna go for a pressure play, he's gotta do it now. If he doesn't do it now, I don't see him getting a chance to do it again. I guess you could just leave spawn here in stealth, but that's gonna really incentivize JaZe to slap down Bahamut. So.
Right. I think he has to go for the 13 damage here, and if he draws another Temptress Vampire, well, there are 2 bodies left by this play that one Righteous Devil can simply evolve over. And then being in Vengeance still sets up the other Revelation to finish off the Vampire side of things. Bounces down to 5, up to 9, and then how does Carepackage do 9 damage all the way down the road there? This could kind of already be it.
These are the important questions that they're asking themselves right now, Mofu. They are thinking all of this.
This thirst, quench them.
Okay. Accepts
That war is
that.
interesting. I didn't expect that.
Oh, he
Wow.
leaves it up.
Oh, it's gonna be Bahamut every day.
There is no universe in which this is not Bahamut, for sure.
Yeah, Bahamut. Yeah, I think JaZe probably agrees. JaZe's also got 2 evolves left, so it's looking pretty good for him.
This is
I think
not
he's
the
got
time
a
to
lot of
play.
resources.
Yeah, it's not the time to play Dragon Oracle and develop your Star Phoenixes again, you know?
Because you literally can't. But that was okay. Nice technicality attacking first. Didn't really matter because you would have popped to a bomb it anyway. But
Yeah, it's nice. It's cool animations, but, well, this now established onto board gets Mr. Full Moon, and then Carepackage is back on the grind, back on the streets trying to look for some damage.
and
After
the board
getting
resets yet again with full moon on Bahamut.
the Take 2 special, really.
Yeah, it is.
Oof.
It's I don't think we've seen many players outside of Carepackage truly respect the full moon. I think a
Carepackage is
few
the
others
first
have.
time. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen someone run 2 of it in a list to actually want it every single game. But I mean, I've seen Dazvi run 1. I think I've seen some other players run like just a 1 of.
I think
it's in
I
some
want to
other
say I've
decks
seen
as
Esha play it too as well.
well. Mhm.
But it's definitely not a card that I mean JaZe doesn't respect. I don't think he's running any copies of it. So
Right.
oh, never mind. He's running 2 actually. Is that?
I want
No, they're both actually running 2 of them. I just haven't seen JaZe draw it once, apparently.
Oh. That's really interesting. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me to see it in JaZe's list considering the way he's been approaching these games. Unfortunately, I think it's more useful on the side of a deck that has more win conditions than as an additional supplement to a deck that tries to answer everything.
How did we not see? He got down to like 3 cards last game. How did we not see either of them?
Neither
my
2 are
gosh.
in the top half this time either.
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe we did see it and just like the hand blended together so well that I didn't realize it was in his hand. Well, I
Well-
mean, both players are at 10 or below life, so even though they could skyrocket to 20 at any moment, this is maybe close to an end.
Right. I mean, Carepackage is in a pretty tough spot because even though Mr. Full Moon does successfully remove the immediate lethal threat of cards like Bahamut, when you're at 9 and you don't want to commit any resources from hand into it, that is a relevant amount of damage per turn.
That's a pretty big commitment right there.
Right.
Now JaZe,
and-
if JaZe burst heals, if he calls the no Bahamut and burst heals right now, then he wins immediately.
Mhm. I mean, all Carepackage has left is answers. Who knows when the next time he draws any kind of substantial threat will be.
Ooh, I think he's gonna do it.
Just like that. Fist in the mask.
Yeah, here we go.
No mercy.
Both players basically healing to full. Okay, JaZe didn't get the most. He could have Vampiric Kissed also, but
You could also choose not to use either of these 2 because he knows Carepackage is sort of out of gas or of damage. So he could just hold on to this until Carepackage might try to pull a Bahamut off the top. It'd be a perfectly respectable play. It also keeps him in Vengeance in case he wants to actually sort of push this with Emeralda.
I want it. It's
Oh, okay. So by not healing, you also don't take damage from Belfagor. You would be at 10 versus that 9 here, though.
Right. Managing to draw this, and the likewise, even if Carepackage had his own Bahamut, I feel as though JaZe has a pretty decent way to kind of get around it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, no. Well, yeah, aside from Emeralda, the rest of his hand was a little weak to it.
This poor Bahamut. It's just, there's something about a Bahamut that just goes face every turn for 1. And just,
It's a Prime Dragon Keeper now. Don't worry about it.
it's so adorably like menacing for 1 damage.
I mean, even looking at its art, like for some reason it looks smaller to me. It's like definitely a psychological thing with the numbers. Like, it's as small as like Scarlet Sabre or less. You could fit the little mask and hat on it from Mask of the Black Death.
Oh my gosh, dude. That said,
Now,
Carepackage is finally getting dwindled in resources. JaZe has, for the second time now, amassed a fairly big hand, you know, compared to Carepackage. He's on this Bahamut's basically the last card he's got that matters. So
Right. I think this is where you can kind of see the weakness of kind of over preparing for being able to answer threats. I mean, I know a lot of Haven lists that used to have this problem a long time ago in trying to run purely removal and wards and defensive stuff to deal with like ancient mid-sword. It's just, when a deck is completely geared around not losing games, then you can lose games from not winning them. That alone is its own sort of necessity to a successful deck.
no truer statement has been said before in the analysis of card games. You can lose games by not winning them.
Yes. The stairs that go down to the basement sometimes also lead you back out of it.
Good old Dirtle blood. JaZe content with putting himself back to 15. Also, you know, has a mask on the board. Neither player is going to take any amount of relevant damage anytime soon.
Yeah. Do you think this game would have gone or these games would have gone significantly differently if Carepackage ran a second copy of Spawn?
Probably, yeah. He'd be able to pressure differently. The way he plays, I think he actually... It feels weird that he only plays 1 because he's run it out like immediately almost every time he's drawn it, right? And he even in the first game dug pretty hard for it, so...
Right. It's so interesting to me in that, like... It seems that running one of each means he's completely prepared to play super long games and he just wants the inevitability of the combo, but... When you tech against control decks like this, and not expect them to have sort of like Bahamut or anything along those lines, you know, what's the backup plan there? That could be
the backup plan
flaw.
the backup plan is literally to out-dirtle them. JaZe already had that with the 1 Prince of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
It's the next level play. You know, if you're both gonna draw your entire deck, you're gonna find the 1 of anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what if I have 10 more cards than you? Right? We win.
Especially if those 10 cards themselves are winning the game.
Oh yeah, or also, well, sometimes they're good. Sometimes it's 3 Servants of Darkness and 4 cards, but you know.
Yeah, like are also winning the game. See footnote 2. Like.
JC's hand's also pretty full of really useless cards. He might actually just Prince of Darkness here. That'd be pretty bad though.
I'm foaming at the mouth at this point. It's like, okay, your opponent has 3 cards left in hand. You have all the removal in the world, all the defensive
he doesn't even
options in
care.
the world.
He doesn't
It's like, come on. It'll win the game. Maybe he's just like, you know what? Never mind. Like, I played it last time and I got nothing but Servants of Darkness. Forget it. He's not really trying to use Prince of Darkness to win the game at this point. He's just like being passive aggressive toward it.
Mofu, he has 21 cards left. Why would he ever, you know, waste any of them?
You know, there's a Blood Moon. Doesn't really emphasize his hand too much.
He's drawn a very big succession of really bad cards for this matchup.
Mm-hmm. Now, if only Prince of Darkness transformed all the cards you were holding into Apocalypse deck cards, I'm gonna stop talking. Forget that. I don't like that idea. But Yeah, the remaining resources in his hand aren't really helpful before or after Prince of Darkness. If anything, he just kind of throws a Revelation here, I think. Or if he's afraid for his life total, he can double Diabolic. Or Diabolic Conquering Horde. You can kind of put in whatever ingredients you want into the mix, and it will still feed Azazel.
There's quite a few different ways to stir that pot and be fine.
Two threats remaining in the hand of Carepackage. Temptress Vampire can deal a big sum of damage, but all of this I feel is pretty vulnerable to a reactive mask regardless.
Quench them.
You know, I think Carepackage might actually be approaching this game from the perspective of, okay, well, I have more cards in my deck, so what if I just wait it out, and may have forgotten about Prince of Darkness, or is just simply playing it out to see how it goes.
He probably did forget about the Prince, because I mean, it's the last week of NG. Why would you give up, right? But the Prince of Darkness pretty much ensures that he loses this every time. I do want to give you something to look forward to, Mofu. There is a little bit more speed in the next round. But,
Already looking
don't
into
worry.
the,
Don't worry. It won't be another Control
Already.
Blood Mirror.
already looking on into the next one. Oh, well, I mean, I absolutely adore Carepackage as a player. I think Nephthys was absolutely the right call, because he gets to do this. Like, you have the inevitability in Mordecai that you can beat control matchups, but I don't think this Bloodlust had that same kind of advantage going for it. And, you know, he could come in with the plan of facing these two decks that JaZe brought. And maybe even just the addition of a single Prince of Darkness or a card that gives him any inevitability in this could have been all he needed.
Yeah, I think really this was just JaZe's call to bring the one of Prince of Darkness in both of his decks. He outlasts everything. If Carepackage tries to bring mid-range or aggro, you win. And if he tries to bring control, your one of tech comes into play, and you just literally pass turns for 3 turns in a row. Because you have Prince of Darkness.
Indeed. I find it interesting that JaZe once again decides to just kind of let it go. He doesn't feel threatened. And Carepackage drawing cards that draw cards. But doesn't make a significant difference. He does have a pretty long timer left if we assume that not drawing cards is not going to get him anywhere.
Right. I mean, JaZe, I would love to see JaZe play this Prince of Darkness and actually draw not servants and just actually finish the game. But, you know, no reason to give that up, right?
Yeah. And there are times when, even though it looks like an absolutely delicious Prince of Darkness to throw out, it's also not a necessary one. If he continues playing the game in such a manner that he doesn't need to finish it, but he just continues to draw the resources in his deck to answer everything, then he can very safely and assuredly get to the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of interesting as well.
Could just revelate and it's good. What's interesting, Mofu? Tell me about it.
I was just about to say, it's interesting he's gotten this far, to this extent of a turn, and you know, he's got all 3 copies of Revelation, which he hasn't had to use, and 2 copies of Diabolic Drains he hasn't had to use. It's like JaZe has been in firm control of this entire game without having to commit a lot of the reactive control resources that we saw Carepackage have to throw out at every corner.
That is, yeah. I mean, JaZe's decks were both much more reactive than other decks. Like, even his Ramp Dragon, Saha, like the Saha, like, Lucifer combo, no actual finish combo, as far as, like, the Queen Dritzy reach damage. And we see the exact same thing in his Blood deck. He's not playing any spawns. He's not playing anything that, I don't think he even has Temptress Vampire, actually, does he? I don't know. I closed his deck
take a look
down.
at that, actually.
I think we would have seen it by now. He might.
He
I don't want to say
actually
he
does
does.
run
I'm
2
not 100%.
copies.
Quench them.
Okay, yeah. So that's one we haven't seen yet. But he's not running like things like Carepackage to try to win the game. He's actually. I think he actually came into this game plan with the idea of North American players are gonna play Control Blood, so I'm gonna play Control Blood that outgrinds Control Blood.
Yeah, the Control Blood that never loses to other Control Blood.
And it's gonna pay off. He's gonna win through 2 deck outs, which, you know, it's still winning, right? Like, you win at any cost, I guess, right?
what frequency do games really end in deckouts in Shadowverse? We used to see it like in OG Ramp Dragon, it would happen sometimes in those mirrors. But to be able to kind of create the strategy of that being your win condition, or having like a guaranteed way to reach it like that, is something that is quite rare.
It's definitely like a meta call for sure. Like JaZe, I think JaZe realized that a lot of North American players are on this control binge, right? Like I think most players have brought either mid range or control today, and I think JaZe was just like, you know what? I'm gonna play off that, and I'm gonna call it, and I'm gonna win through 2 deckouts.
Right. He gets to move on, saying also that he won or qualified based on 2 deckouts, which is itself, I believe, should be an in-game achievement. Actually, you should get like an emblem or like 400 gold for it. Yo, a Prince of Darkness emblem. How does that not exist? He's like a. He's like
actually a hidden. There's a sleeve that no one can get anymore. That's actually just Prince of Darkness's art on a sleeve.
That sounds sick. I didn't know that existed.
Yep, you can see it on the. You can see it on a few fan-made websites, like the Bagoom, I think, has it. But I honestly don't know how you got. I don't know how old it is. I don't know how you get it. But obviously we can't get it anymore. But.
All right. Gloves coming off. My Bahamut's out, and I got 3 turns to win the game. Carepackage going in.
3 turns again. We're in the same spot again, but this time there's not as much pressure.
No. I was about to like scan through JaZe's hand and be like, huh, how does he actually clear this? And I'm like, oh, never mind. He has the Mr. Full Moon making his second debut in the game. You're like, hey, remember me from Take 2?
Remember me from a few turns ago?
Yeah,
when you did this
from
to
the
me?
birthday party? Right. So it took a while, but you know, after the moving trucks have sort of finished up their task, we've managed to swap the living locales of Mr. Full Moon and the Bahamut without injuring either of them. Does he trade into the Mr. Full Moon? Is that?
No, you can't afford to do that, Mofu. Come on, you can't do that.
This is the game. He gets his face slammed by Mr. Full Moon and Temptress Vampire.
Mofu, you go face for 5 here. You have to. You literally have to.
I don't know.
I think you might be considering Vampire Kiss onto it, into Bahamut, into 4-face, maybe. Yeah, okay, that's what he's doing.
Ah, Mind Reader.
Yeah, that's, you know, when you watch this many Control Blood mirrors, you just happen to know how they all think.
I imagine you two one day will become a Control Blood master.
Never. Never.
I mean, I'm all about like all the mechanics involved here, but
yeah, I'm
once
all
again,
about.
it is one of those very, very slow and delicate kind of. It's like kind of watching
all about
JaZe play
reminding
out.
my opponent of every card in their deck over the course of a game. Yep.
I mean, it's like kind of like watching JaZe play out this whole game plan, like even with the option of Prince of Darkness or things with some inevitability. Does slam a Bahamut now. So
that was
is...
interesting. If he Temptress Vampire the Emerald there, right, and then passed at 19, then there was literally nothing Carepackage could have played. But now that JaZe can't clear the Bahamut, that's on board, and that doesn't look good for him. It doesn't matter because Carepackage loses the game, but
yeah, he could lose. He could also pass. Oh,
why would you pass when you could play Prince of Darkness? Mofu, the game is over.
It's finally his time.
Okay, we're not gonna see what the first card even is.
Your strength is formidable.
But just like that, very slow and methodical victory for JaZe.
Someone should wake up Rainy. I think Rainy's probably.
What? Huh? Oh, hey.
Hey, the game's over.
Let me make sure my definitely wasn't. Yeah.
JaZe won. Yay.
Oh, it was JaZe who won. Okay, cool. Yeah. You know,
God.
there's something to be said about. I think